Boxingego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops. What up, fight world? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Today is Monday, which means MMD, Boxingego Monday Mail Day. Now, I put a thumb up next to the questions I'll answer. I picked a lot. We're coming off a good fight. Vladimir Klitschko. He did lose to Anthony Joshua, which was a phenomenal heavyweight fight. Let's get it in. Let's get started. And the first question comes from Carlos Garcia. Ego, shout out from Sacktown. Been a fan for a while. Here's my question. I'm originally from Mexico, and when a Mexican fights, no matter what, every Mexican roots for him. Why do you think that is not the case with American fighters? In other words, why don't Americans cheer for American fighters? That's a good question. I can't speak for anybody else other than me. Exactly. I cheer for American fighters, and I definitely like to see American champions prevail. But there is racism in the world, and race does play a part. The people who usually try to suffocate it and tell you, why are you bringing up race, are usually the ones that perpetuate what I'm talking about and try to suppress it. So that's their way of saying, stop talking about it because we don't want to hear it, or why are you bringing up the race card? And that's what it is. And I guess the best answer, aside from just pure race, is, as you mentioned, you're from Mexico, and you obviously migrated to 916, shout out to Sacramento, and you're prideful, and there's nothing wrong with being prideful as long as you're respectful of anybody else's race, religion, ethnicity, you know what I mean, those types of things. So you can root for who you want, but the thing is, boxing is mano y mano, and there's a lot of people out there who aren't respectful of other people, and they don't like certain indifferences and stuff like that. But bottom line is, people migrate. A lot of people come to America for a better life. It's a land of opportunity, liberty, freedom of speech, things like that. So a lot of people come here from different regions, from Africa, from Russia, from Mexico, from wherever, Canada, anywhere. And you get people from different regions, so sometimes they're American, or their parents came to America and they're American because they grew up in America, were born in America, but they don't always have the same backing for their American fighter, American champion. You know what I mean? America is a melting pot. So that's the only thing that I could really think of, and hopefully I answered your question. Next question is from Mr. Cocktail. Do you believe Deontay Wilder is able to unify the division as he says, or whom do you think can do that? That's a good question. The heavyweight division is wide open. Realistically speaking, I've seen vulnerabilities and certain weaknesses with every fighter, but I do think Wilder is amongst the top guys, and he certainly has a chance. He has the power. Some people say he lacks technique or finesse or this and that, windmill punches, helicopter punch, but he's still helicoptering these dudes the hell up out of here, so it doesn't really matter. He has eraser power, so he can lose 4 or 5 rounds, or have an even fight with Spilka, or be losing to Gerald Washington, and he can equalize all of that with one set of punches and sequences. And I think he has heart, and he has determination. He's in shape, and he has the frame, the size, 6'7", to do that. So he definitely can. Anthony Joshua looked good, showed heart versus Klitschko. I told people, and I think some people asked the question about Wilder Joshua. For me, I like both of them, I really do, but I would lean towards Wilder to beat Joshua at this moment, unless Joshua improves on certain things that I've seen, because I see the Wilder fight being stylistically difficult for him, especially if he gasses out like he was, where he needed a couple rounds to recoup. You can't really do that with a younger, fresher Deontay Wilder, who's not 41 years old like Vladimir Klitschko. Vladimir Klitschko, he's skilled and he's very comfortable in his style, but maybe he wasn't able to pull the trigger in that given moment. He hurt him and he kind of let him off the hook. But a younger fighter is not necessarily going to let you off the hook like that. They're going to go in for the kill, smell blood, and that kind of thing. Next question is from All About Boxing. What's up, Ego? Love your channel and keep up the great work. Thank you. At what point in time do you want to see Terence Crawford move up to 147? after Felix Diaz? Are there still good fights for him at 140? Also, what single opponent do you want him to fight at the most at 147? I can't decide. Now, this is the same thing with Gennady Golovkin. A lot of people gave Golovkin an exemption because him and his team, they opted and said, hey, we want to stick around the division to unify. So if that's the case, we got to keep it even, Steven, fair and square, and allow Terence Crawford, who also wants that and wants to unify the belts, we have to afford him the same opportunity. So my answer to your question would be, as long as he can stay at 140, as long as he can comfortably make the weight without missing weight and, you know, being unprofessional, and until he can try to unify and become undisputed. And that's when he should move up. He shouldn't have to move up for just anybody. Like, he was willing to move up, I believe, to fight Pacquiao, but Team Pacquiao didn't want the fight. So I think if he can make the weight comfortably, I've been at a couple of his recent fights, John Molina Jr., Victor Postal. I covered those fights as media. I covered his fight with Ray Beltran, and I don't remember him struggling or missing weight and having to weigh in naked and all types of stuff like that. So I think he should be able to stay there as long as he can make the weight and still be effective. And it's not really, it's just like Golovkin. I mean, if there's no challenges, then, I mean, people didn't want Golovkin to move up, so Terence Crawford shouldn't have to move up. Plus, I think there are a couple good fights. Broner, if Broner can make 140, I don't know. That's more of a pipe dream to me. But even aside from that, Julius Ndongo just unified with Ricky Burns, and I think that's a good fight. So, yeah, it doesn't make sense to move up after Felix Diaz when you're one click away from becoming undisputed champion. I would stay for at least a couple more fights, probably. You know what I mean? Like one or two at least. Adrian Granados, he's a game person. Nobody really has just beat him down to the point where it wasn't competitive and he's getting stopped and knocked about and things like that. That's another fight I really wouldn't mind seeing. See how Terence Crawford would handle that. Certain fights like that are good barometer fights. If Crawford could stop Granados, which no one else has been able to do, including his upcoming opponent, Felix Diaz, who holds a win over Granados, Olympic gold medalist, and Broner, a talented fighter, and all these guys, Leonardo Tyner, Kermit Cintron, none of these guys stopped Granados. So if Crawford did, I would still give him credit. I would give him a lot of credit. Similar with Chris Algieri being stopped by Errol Spence. You got to give credit because Pacquiao didn't do it. A silver medalist, Amir Khan, didn't do it. Ruslan Provodnikov didn't do it. And Errol Spence, in his step up, was able to do it. So for me, Crawford should fight Felix Diaz, have an outcome, and then try to unify and become undisputed. There's everybody at 147 I would like to see him fight. You know what I mean? Truth be told, I don't know what fights can or will happen based on promotional differences and Cold War, stuff like that. But Danny Garcia, that's a ready-made fight. They already have bad blood, and Crawford was calling Angel Garcia a crackhead or something a couple months ago. I did videos about it. They've fought in the amateur, so that's already a ready-made fight. Terence Crawford versus Danny Garcia. I mean, anybody. Sean Porter's a name up there. Errol Spence. See what he does if he becomes a champion. Pacquiao. I mean, I've been wanting to see the Pacquiao fight with Crawford for years now. So there's a ton of options, but I don't think he should have to be exiled out of his division because he's too good, right? So that's my opinion on the 140, 147 thing. Next question, Tim E. Hey, Ego, I was just looking at your old videos, and one of them, Troy King said that Thurman beats Errol Spence Jr. He's too awkward for him. I wanted to know, can you do a video with him giving a new prediction, or ask him, does his opinion stay the same? Yeah, when I link up with him, I'll try to keep that in mind. I remember exactly the video. I remember where we were. We were in Oakland, and I remember shooting the video with him. So I can ask for his updated thoughts to see if anything has changed or anything like that. Next question, James Lopez. Sub Ego, great heavyweight fight, was epic. I agree. AJ knocked down and hurt by a 40-year-old. It's actually 41-year-old Vladimir, still has power. Does AJ look more human now and have a weak chin? And Spence Brook, who has a better chin? Love your channel, Ego, thumbs up. I told you guys, for the heavyweight division, this current crop of heavyweight fighters, none of them have no exceptional chin to me. You know what I mean? I haven't seen it. Like, you could say, okay, Luis King Kong Ortiz, but who's really cracked him? Like, who's a known puncher that he's fought that just cracked him? So he's kind of like a boogeyman in the division. He hasn't really fought the best of the best in prime names with momentum. But everyone else, we've seen him hurt. We've seen him knocked down. We've seen him buckled. Legs went from under him, stuff like that. I've seen Wilder get hurt by Eric Molina. Joshua didn't get hurt by Molina and just bombed him out, but then Klitschko knocked him down and hurt him. And he looked gassed on the ropes. I seen Tyson Fury's big ass get knocked down by a cruiserweight, Steve Cunningham. So I just think once the guys are hitting 240 plus pounds, I think they have power to hurt you. I mean, obviously, some guys' power is more in your face and inherent, but you don't want to be slipping and catch flush shots from really any of these dudes. They're all pretty massive and pretty big. So yeah, and power is the last thing to go. So Vladimir's crafty and he has power. He was trying that leaping left hook that he does so well. If he would have caught AJ with that wouldn't have been good too. So I mean, you could say he looks more human, but he got the stoppage. So I don't think I don't know. I think any of these dudes, their chin, if they get cracked by the top level guys, is going to be a problem. So that's just my thoughts on the heavyweight division currently. And then Spence Brook, it's hard to say who has a better chin because we really haven't gotten to see exactly Errol Spence Jr. tested with somebody. Brook's been in there with at least Sean Porter and Triple G, and Triple G didn't even knock him down. So, I mean, it looks like Brook is pretty solid, but coming down in weight, coming down off of a Triple G beating in the last round and stuff, who knows what toll that took on his body. So it's kind of hard to say because it would be unfair to say who has a better chin. I mean, we're going to find out on May 27th. It's going to be hard to say, though, without Spence having the same level of resume, I guess you could say. Next question, Fernando Carlos. Will the Chavez Jr. fight be the toughest fight for Canelo, not counting Floyd, because of his size difference? I believe so. I think there's a big if and an asterisk, and that asterisk is if Chavez Jr. can rehydrate properly, if coming down to a weight that he hasn't had to make since like 2012 doesn't take so much of a toll on his body because he's been a fighter who hasn't had discipline, hasn't maintained a certain threshold and ballooned up in weight when he's not fighting and long layoffs. If that does not affect him too much and his team got him safely to this weight, then I do think it'll probably be Canelo's toughest fight, win, lose, or draw, because Canelo has not faced somebody as tough, durable, and as persistent as a guy like Chavez Jr. Plus, he seems very motivated. Floyd is a guy who moved up 5 weight divisions, so that was, I think, more of a mental challenge. He might have even hurt Canelo at spots, but nothing too extreme, because you have to keep in mind Floyd is a guy who started out much lighter, again moved up 5 divisions, so Canelo looks pretty built and pretty durable, things like that. So yeah, I think Chavez Jr. could be that tough fight if his training and how he looks and stuff is an indication of how he's going to fight on fight night, and it's just because of the size differential and the amount of pressure. Canelo's a boxer puncher, and Chavez Jr. applies a lot of pressure, and this is a significantly bigger person. Even though Canelo's cutting less weight, he's still moving up 10.5 pounds. Next question, Operation How. Do you think Anthony Joshua needs to come to America to fight? It seems like Eddie Hearn and British boxing is a cash cow right now. Is America like the Lakers and the UK is the Clippers now? Oh wow, that's an interesting example. I mean, I heard Joshua. I didn't read entirely what he said, but I heard the cliff notes. He said he doesn't need to come to America to raise his profile. I disagree. I mean, why? Who wouldn't want to come to America to fight? I mean, classic fighters have done it. Even guys like Carl Froch said his dream is to fight in Las Vegas, and he wanted to fight Chavez Jr. So I never really heard anyone say that. Lennox Lewis came to America, had big fights. Really everybody. So I never really heard anybody that said I don't need to come to America. America, you're British, you're from the UK, you're from England, You just sold out Wembley 90,000. That's all great, but I mean, who wouldn't want to leave the nest, so to speak, leave the nest and then come to America? So I can't really understand the logic. I don't think he needs to. I mean, obviously he can stay in UK and still make money, and the fans are very loyal and supportive, but it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt. Just like, I mean, you got to look at it. Even with me, like with my brand, with my business, right? I cover fights. I've been to New York 2 times in the last 2 months, right? Versus I never really had been to New York before that, right? Aside from passing through or something when I'm a kid or something like that. But I can make money just talking about boxing from home. I don't have to go to New York and spend money on trips and hotels and food and lodging and travel expenses and deal with baggage claim and all this. I don't have to do that. But the reason I'm doing it is for boxing fans, to increase the brand and just get out there, network, meet people. So, you know what I mean? I could sit at home and just try to collect more money by not having to expend any money. You know what I mean? By going out to Golovkin Jacobs to cover that in New York, or Roberto Porter. But again, I wouldn't say that because it's not about money. And I understand money comes and goes, and it takes money to make money. So my point is, leaving the nest is never really a bad thing. I leave California all the time. I cover Broner, Granados, and Cincinnati. I've been to Omaha twice covering Crawford fights, and I plan on going more. I've been to Vegas. I went to Mikey Garcia versus Carl Frampton 2. I went to Vegas for Ward Kovalev. Went to Vegas for Terence Crawford, Victor Postal. I go to SoCal for fights. So I don't have to do that. So Joshua doesn't have to come to America. I mean, I can make money by not ever leaving, but it's for something greater and to raise the profile, like I said, to network and stuff. So to me, it makes sense to leave the nest. You already have a built-in fan base. Why not expand upon that and get people more familiar with you in the States? And I don't really see that being a bad thing. I mean, Mike Tyson, he got upset, but he still fought in, Tokyo? He fought in Japan or whatever when he fought Buster Douglas. It's not a bad thing to become an international star. Pacquiao, you know what I mean? All these guys. Pacquiao could have just stayed in the Philippines and tried to fight there, but the money is in America also, where there's a lot of money in America, especially for a guy who's exciting like Joshua. That's just my 2 cents. Next question is from DGG. Ego, can't believe I'm saying this about Klitschko fight, but what a fight. Joshua was dead tired and the old champ let him off the hook, making the mistake Anthony did by punching himself out. Wow, Joshua is the true champion and heavyweight. I heard a 2-fight deal. I want to see Joshua Wilder ASAP. Now this, when I selected this, I thought it was a question, but I agree with you. It's not really a question, but yeah, Joshua needs to work on that, the stamina. And I mean, that's why you can't count a veteran out. You can't count a veteran out like, oh, I knocked him down. It's smooth sailing from here. It doesn't work like that, because guys like that, they've been hurt in sparring, or they've been tested, they've been dropped, and if you got heart, then there's no telling what you could do. You know what I mean? James DeGale versus Badu Jack, he was winning that fight. James DeGale versus Andre Durrell, but you got guys who have some experience. Badu Jack had already taken a KO loss and stuff, and he wasn't anxious to lose again. And he ended up hurting James DeGale in the final round, the 12th round, and he came back strong in that second half. Ward Kovalev, same deal. Kovalev dropped him, and then that was like it's almost a mistake that the knockdown happened so early, because it gave Ward time to, like, if it was a tight-knit fight, close fight, and then on top of that, Ward got knocked down in like the 9th, 10th, 11th round, then that would have been worse. But he gave Ward plenty of time to work himself back in the fight. So, yeah, Joshua, he has to learn that. Like, just because you knocked him down with your power, doesn't mean a veteran like Klitschko, 41 or not, is going to go like Charles Martin or Dominique Brazil, because those guys aren't Klitschko, and those guys don't have the learnings and teachings of Klitschko. So that's just my thoughts. Fernando Carlos has another question. Who do you think is the best Latin boxer of all time? Is it Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. or Robert Duran? I mean, I'm not a big list maker, to be honest, because I take from the sport of boxing or whatever the list is, like favorite movie. I don't have. Sometimes I feel like watching Chavez Jr. and watching what he does well, but sometimes I want to see Hands of Stone. So I don't really have a top. And to me, if we're talking about Mexican in terms of the Latin fighters, well, even though Roberto Duran he's Panamanian, but it's just too hard of a category. But if we're talking about the greatest Mexicans, to me, I like Salvador Sanchez above everybody. Even though he had an untimely death, I put Salvador Sanchez at the top for me. But I mean, I still like Chavez and I like Roberto Duran, so kind of hard to narrow it down to one greatest, especially when they fought, different times and things like that. Next question, Eugene Lloyd. Do you think AJ came into the fight too big? He looked way too big to me and needs to slim down a bit. Yeah, and I said that post-fight. I actually said at the weigh-in, I'm like, this is 250 shocked me a bit because I don't remember him being in the 250s at the weigh-in. So I didn't know the approach on it. Told you guys, muscles require more oxygen. That's what it kind of boils down to, because to keep the blood flowing and stuff like that, it's going to require more oxygen. So when you're that top heavy and when you're that like massy, then it could spell trouble when you start throwing punches, because you could be tired quick. You know what I mean? Like Mike Tyson was big, but he didn't look as defined as Joshua. Joshua looks like he could legit be like a bodybuilder damn near. You know what I'm saying? And Mike Tyson was big. He was short and squatty and stout, but he didn't look as quite as buff. And I think that's more of a boxer physique. I mean, some guys like Tim Bradley and stuff, they look real shredded. So some people just have genetics and they look like that no matter what. But Joshua seemed like he was too big in this fight. And again, you don't want to be in there with Wilder, someone with his level of power and his level of aggression, and be on the ropes and you're tired and you can't really throw no more punches. So you have to take a couple rounds to recharge your batteries and save up for the 11th. It's not always going to work like that. Joshua was fortunate. It did work with a 41-year-old Klitschko. And I'm not taking it away. These are facts. Some people get mad. Oh, why are you saying he's 40? He was 41. You know what I mean? I'm a realist. And that's the fact. And Wilder and Tyson Fury, all these other guys, they're not 41. So you got to be even, and that's weird to me too, because Tyson Fury, sometimes I've seen him in fights and he looks mad sloppy. He looks out of shape weight-wise, but he still seems to have better stamina. Even like Andy Ruiz. Andy Ruiz, sometimes you can't even tell. Like in recent fights, he's been kind of slimming down and his physique looks better. But even when he was looking sloppier, like he just went to an Italian restaurant before the fight, right? He still seemed to have speed, and he was comfortable in going rounds and stuff like that. He didn't seem to fatigue. So Joshua definitely needs to work on that, and maybe him and his team need to analyze how big he should be coming into the fight, because again, he pulled the trigger and it worked out for the best in this situation, but you can't be fading down the stretch or in the middle or big spots. Canelo had this problem too. I thought Canelo used to do this. He was just kind of fighting in spurts and trying to save energy and then just explode, and then he would stop. You got to get that under control. And for real, for Canelo, I haven't really seen that be a problem. So whatever Canelo did, maybe Joshua's people could reach out and maybe they increased some cardio or road work, or I don't know what they did, the intensity. But Canelo hasn't really seemed to fade. And he went the distance with Cotto and he looked good. But some of his other fights earlier in his career, I don't know if he had the right conditioning, because he seemed like he was taking breaks. When he was working, it was beautiful combinations of stuff, inside work, blah blah blah. But when he was taking those breaks, it's like, damn, are you tired? So yeah, I think Joshua needs to maybe find a middle ground in terms of what weight he can, a max weight he wants to be come fight night and at the weigh-in. Next question, Aaron Percy. What up, Ego? Yo, what's good? Keep doing your thing, man. I'm a big fan. Pause. Laughing my ass off. But anyway, after Joshua's win, the revenue, the amount of people who attended, and with big upcoming fights like Wilder and Parker, I don't know if they're fighting, but would it be too early to say that Joshua is the most popular fighter in the world right now? The only person I could even compare him to would be Canelo. and most people haven't been fond of his last couple of appearances. Just wanted to know your thoughts on that. Joshua, he definitely, people were talking about this fight. I seen people that don't always like cover boxing, like even The Rock. Do you smell? Like The Rock was wishing Joshua and Klitschko a good fight. So everybody was paying attention to this fight. This was a big fight. And then the great thing is it was an exciting fight. So it delivered. It delivered almost 12 rounds of action, 11 rounds of action. So I would say he's definitely one of the biggest stars for sure. And another thing he has going is, I think he has a look, you know what I mean? He has a look in terms of he's just this big behemoth, exciting style, clean cut type dude. And he knows how to speak, and he speaks English. And some people are not going to understand this, but Canelo, he desperately needs to work on his English. Even Golovkin started improving his English, and Pacquiao and Cotto. People forget, when Cotto first started fighting, his English wasn't that good. You know what I mean? When he was first fighting in America, English wasn't, he was hard to, Miguel Cotto in Yankee Stadium. You're like, what? He wasn't, his English wasn't as fluent, but it's almost a necessity. So Canelo needs to get on the ball with that. I know he's trying, and I think there's certain interviews he might have done in English, but he needs to just get his English right, because Joshua's on his tail when it comes to the most popular. But yeah, clearly they're the most popular in the sport. 90,000. He just made a phenomenal amount of money, 13 to 20 plus million or whatever. I did an ego person on it, so he's definitely up there, and he has aspirations of wanting to be a billionaire. So we'll see where that takes him. So yeah, aside from Floyd Mayweather, I think it's Canelo and Joshua right there. Next question is from Owen Brown. Ego. What's potentially next for Gary Russell if he defeats Oscar Escandón in his next fight? How long can the top guys, Santa Cruz, Mares, Frampton, at least they'll be allowed to duck and not fight him? That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know how many of the people that you listed are full-fledged ducks. Like, I know Leo Santa Cruz said he would fight him, things like that. I don't know. But the thing with Gary Russell Jr. is, and I like Gary Russell, but I got to keep it real. His team, or the way his career's been handled in recent memory. Now, obviously, the Oscar Escandón fight being pushed back wasn't his fault. His opponent got injured. I get that. I fully respect that. It's not his fault. But aside from that, he's not been that active. He hasn't been active. You can count on one hand how many fights he's had in a couple of years. And to my knowledge, injury hasn't been the injury. He has brittle hands and like hand issues because he has that speed and power. But it hasn't been a recent issue. So unless you're Chavez Jr., Andre Ward, Mikey Garcia, guys who are dealing with injuries and or legal trouble, then you should be fighting more frequently. So it kind of gives people an excuse to duck. So I just think that Gary Russell you have to keep in mind, at one point when Gary Russell was coming up, they were talking about him fighting against Adrian Broner, and it was Broner, Gary Russell, and Yuriorkis Gamboa. Those names were all kind of in the same circle. People wanted to see Broner Gamboa, Broner versus Gary Russell, and who would be better. This was when Broner was undefeated, of course, and in the lighter divisions. But since then, Broner's name is the only one that has kind of continued to make noise. Gamboa ended up getting stopped by Terence Crawford, and Gary Russell's name you just stop hearing about him. So I think he just needs to fight more active. Those are all top level fights. Oscar Valdez, he's mad that he's not getting the level of attention or some of the big fights. That's another good fight. So I just want to see it. I think the best way to do it is activity. Gary Russell needs to ramp up that activity, and then he'll be good. I mean, he's clearly talented. He's a champion. So if he beats Escandón, just needs to ramp up the activity and start getting aggressive, calling these dudes out. You know what I mean? Next question, Lee Van. Dumb question, because I don't even believe this, but did you see Canelo's brother get fucked up by Chavez Jr.'s brother? Do you think this will have any type of impact on the big fight on Saturday? Now, I made a video about it. Check it out. I did a reaction video to that fight with Omar Chavez knocking out Raymond Alvarez, and it's possible. I mean, at the end of the day, Canelo and Chavez Jr. got a scrap, so it's not a telltale sign whatever happened in their fight, because they're two different fighters. But it could have slight psychological edge like with the family names and stuff, because I heard since then Omar Chavez said something like, our family has a better legacy and dynasty than the Alvarez family, and my brother's got next. So if anything, it's just kind of giving them confidence, like, yeah, we got a knockout, and that's motivation because your family got one in on the Alvarez family. So that's just kind of how I see it. Next question, Dana ID Matthews. Hey, Boxingego, what are the best ways to regain stamina during a fight? Also, what do you think trainers of today lack in comparison to those quote-unquote old school? Who do you think has a better chin, Joshua or Wilder? Stay motivated. Your material is great. Have a good day. Last question, Joshua Wilder. I don't really know who has a better chin because, I mean, like I said, the heavyweight division, I haven't seen a standout chin. Like, Vander Holyfield to me had a really good chin. For a guy who moved up from cruiserweight, and then he could take big shots from Tyson. He got clipped, even though he beat Tyson. He got clipped by guys, you know what I mean? Like Lennox Lewis or whatever. So I haven't really seen that in today's generation. Just someone whose chin just like, oh, it's remarkable out of the top champions. You know what I mean? Where they're just getting clipped by big, notable punchers, and they're just eating it. Like even like a David Tua, I think had a good chin, but I haven't really seen anyone where they had to rely on their chin to get it done, so to speak. So I don't know who has a better chin, Joshua or Wilder. That's why I want to see him fight. That'll tell me who has a better chin. And what do trainers of today lack in comparison? Well, some people don't train the fundamentals, from what I've seen. Jab, that's underused, underappreciated. Body work. Some people are, I don't know their pedigree. I don't know where, you know what I mean, if it's a father-son duo or what, you know what I mean? Some people, another thing that I noticed with some of today's trainers is it's a lot of trainers in general, even successful ones, they kind of want to be the star of the show instead of the fighter, you know what I mean? So you got to put ego aside, because sometimes, no pun intended, you got to put ego aside, because sometimes you may need somebody's help or second set of eyes or a strength and conditioning coach or whatever, and some people don't want to give that up. Right? Some people don't want to, like, they'll feel undermined if they have to get someone's help, or I don't need no help. So that willingness to get your fighter everything they need, you know what I mean? And the other thing that I can see with today's trainers is sometimes I like them old school trainers that would get in their fighter's ass when the fighter's not doing right. Some people are too nice. Like I've really watched, I can't think of an exact fight, and I don't even need to put anyone on blast, but I've watched fights recently where their fighter's not even doing good. They could be damn near losing every round, and they're like, you're beating him. Just come on, just lift your hands and do it. I'm like, beating them? Why would you tell your fighter that when they're clearly not beating them? You know what I'm saying? So I think just the gutsy trainers like Emmanuel Stewart, rest in peace, my dude, he did not play that. I remember watching Lennox Lewis versus Mike Tyson, and he was training Lennox at the time, and he was getting in Lennox's ass. He was like, what the fuck are you doing? You sitting around with a dead man. He got all this power. He gonna knock your stupid ass out. Like, and he was screaming, like, and Lennox was winning the fight. You know what I mean? But he was like, you got to get this dude out of here. What are you doing? You toying around, and he gonna catch you with something. He gonna hit you with something hot. Like, he was angry, and Lennox was winning the fight. So that's what I miss about some of the throwback trainers, is telling your fighter that real stuff, and like slap your fighter, pour water on them, and like let them know if they're losing and they need to do something radical to turn the fight around. Let them know that it ain't no buddy stuff. So that's just me. And the last part of your question, what are the best ways to regain stamina during a fight? I mean, to me, the best way to regain stamina is to prepare for it in training camp. You know what I mean? There ain't no regain it during the fight. Is what you did in training camp to get there. You know what I mean? I'm not going to slaughter his quote because he's one of my idols, but Muhammad Ali has that great quote about, like, all the training and the preparation in the gym is what made him a champion. You know what I mean? Suffer now and live the rest of your life as a champion, things like that. He has a ton of quotes like that, and that's what it is. All the hard work, all the sacrifice you do in the gym. So you shouldn't be, you're up Shit's Creek basically if you are worried about regaining stamina in the fight. Now, obviously, there's times people get tired and stuff, but most of it, I think, is your training camp and what you're doing. And if you have stamina issues, maybe you instead of being on the speed bag a particular day, maybe you need to focus more on road work. Some people don't like doing the stuff that they're not as good at. You know what I mean? Let's say you're great on the heavy bag, but you're not great with stamina. So maybe you should start doing the stuff you hate more than the stuff you want to do. You know what I mean? That's how you really grow. Like, just even people who are lifting weights. Like, I used to do this too. Arms, I like when I'm in the gym, arms come easy to me. Like I can, like, my arms don't fatigue as much, and like I can lift pretty good, pretty solid weights, good form and everything. But I didn't really like leg day, or you know what I mean, sometimes chest day, stuff like that. So I wouldn't go as hard on those days. But those are the days you really need to go hard. You need to go harder on the days you hate doing as opposed to what you like doing. You know what I'm saying? So if legs is your kryptonite, then you need to chill out on arms. That comes natural to you. Go ham on them leg days. So to me, that's what fighters need to do, is really what you do in advance, not really regaining it during the fight. But I guess during the fight, just be cautious, be aware, have a sharp defense, move only when necessary. Like, some people burn up energy. Like Joshua, I didn't like what he did in terms of trying to taunt Klitschko. Klitschko is he has 60 plus fights. You're not going to talk him into fighting a dumb fight. You know what I mean? You're not going to set something up because you tricked him by talking and taunting him. These guys, like, they're too, like Floyd Mayweather. He's not going to break a game plan because you're calling him a B word or something like that. He's probably done that himself and had back and forth spatter and training and sparring. So Joshua was clearly out of breath in round 5, 6 or whatever, and taking rounds off, trying to regroup, but he was talking. To me, that's a rookie mistake. Why are you even talking? You're not going to be able to coax him into fighting a dumb fight. He was fighting behind the jab, and he was winning those rounds and looking good up until like maybe the 7th round. And you're sitting up here talking like, I'm gonna get you back, and you're just burning unnecessary energy. You don't even need to. Just focus on the shots coming at you, stuff like that. So those are my thoughts, I guess you could say. Next question. D-Boy206, Ego, aka my real brother, LOL. I want to ask you, how do you feel about women's boxing, and do you think that women's boxing ever going to take off like it is in the UFC or even better? Part 2, do you ever see a woman headlining a pay-per-view card, someone like Clarissa Shields, 2-time gold medalist? I went and seen some of her fights, and she's really talented. I feel like she can be a draw. What do you think? Stay hungry, bro, and keep working. You know I'm going to keep working. That's what I do, man. Make this easy work. Make hard work look like easy work. But yeah, I think, man, I just interviewed, check it out, man. Women need some shine right now. And I interviewed Olympic bronze medalist Marlene Esparza, and very, very good boxing talk. Like, it didn't seem any different than talking to when I interview male opponents, right? I've interviewed Clarissa Shields, good boxing brain. You could tell that these ladies really appreciate the sport. They lace them up, they get their hands wrapped, they are in the gym. So we got to start showing them love. And I definitely think with the right, it can't just be me. I'm not saying like I'm putting women's boxing on my back, but I don't segregate, and I don't try to not give anyone shine. You could be white, black, Mexican, Asian. I don't care. If you could scrap, you could scrap. Man, woman, boy, dog. I try to give everybody shine if they deserve it. You know what I mean? So it's going to take more than just me just looking out for people. And we got to get the networks involved. Showtime, they did a good step in the right direction. Clarissa Shields became the first woman to headline a premium boxing champion. So they have to just keep opening these doors, these small doors, and it'll lead to bigger doors, right? Marlene Esparza is going to be on the Canelo Chavez Jr. card. Again, go check out. She's working hard. She's working in the Virgil Hunter gym. I interviewed her. It was 20 plus minutes. It was a good stuff, and she was out there grinding. But open these small doors, like getting on the Canelo card. And then I asked her about it, because women don't get paid like anything compared to some of their male counterparts. But you know what I mean? Just open these small doors and keep working, keep grinding and building up these fights. And then I think it'll come. Like the Christian Hammer and Maricel Cornejo and Clarissa Shields. These are all fights that are brewing and in the making. And if you don't really follow women's boxing yet, then you'll probably start to hear about them. But these are fights that they can build. They're already doing Clarissa Shields and Maricela Cornejo face-offs and stuff when they were at the fights, the Shakur Stevenson, the Oscar Valdez, Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez card. And just keep opening small doors and shining a light on it. I think it'll come. When I talked to Marlene Esparza, another fight with her in or around her division is Senicia Estrada. That's a fight that they can build up to. So I think it's getting there. It's going to take not just the networks, but also fans and everybody's participation. Like we gotta show these women some love too. Next question is from also D-Boy206. What's up, Ego? With Joshua win tonight, I feel I got a lot of answers with who he is as a fighter. Definitely. But at the same time, I have a lot more questions. But anyway, I feel like AJ has holes in his game. Do you think AJ should fight Lada or Deontay Wilder or a tune-up or rematch Klitschko? Now, Klitschko has it in the contract to get a rematch. I don't know if he wants to continue fighting, and maybe he felt like, okay, Joshua is probably too young, too strong. So that's really on Klitschko. Joshua already said he'll fight him. To me, I think with the holes that I've seen, with like you're saying, I've seen some things that would not be good if Joshua fought Wilder, in my opinion. And I love Anthony Joshua. That's just how I feel. And I think he should probably gun for the Tyson Fury, a guy who's kind of coming off the couch, has to get some weight down, can still win because Tyson Fury can box, right? So it's a compelling fight. It's a fight that's going to make British dollars. It's going to make that domestic money. And I think it's a lot safer than the Wilder fight prematurely. And if he can beat Tyson Fury, then he should be at his best to the point where Wilder should be next. You know what I'm saying? But I would take that type of fight. I would take the Tyson Fury. And I'm not saying Tyson Fury is a tune-up, because to me, Tyson Fury definitely has a shot to outbox Anthony Joshua. You know what I mean? And riddle him. I don't really see him stopping him. I don't know. You know what I mean? Because sometimes if you're fatigued, anybody can get stopped when you don't have it and they're just hitting you with consecutive shots. Tyson Fury is a big man. He's 6'9" and stuff like that. So that's just my opinion. If I was Eddie Hearn, I think Joshua, I wouldn't go in the lion's den with Wilder, keep trying to build that up. As a fan, make the fight next. You know what I mean? That's straight up. I'm just talking from a promoter standpoint, and then from my perspective. If they want to fight next, I'll fully support it. I'll buy it. I might even go to it, depending on where it's at and whatever. But I think if I was managing, I'm Team Joshua. If I'm on his team, I'm Eddie Hearn. I would advise him to look after, before going after even the Luis King Kong Ortiz, build from the Klitschko. That was a tough fight for you. Build from that before you go on to Wilder or Luis King Kong Ortiz. Build from that. Watch the tape back. See the mistakes you made. See what you did right, and then put it all together, and then those big fights will come. But again, as a fan, if they want to make it next and Joshua's ready, then I'm ready. Next question is from Kota Kid. Ego, did you get to see the Faceoff episode with Canelo and Chavez? No, I have not. Been extremely busy. I'm working on a lot of stuff behind the scenes, stuff I've already put out, things like that. So I haven't seen it. I heard it's very intense, but I personally haven't watched it. But I'll watch it this week and see what I think. I've heard little sound bites from it. I guess they made some kind of bet that Canelo was like, you ain't gonna knock me out, and Chavez was like, I am gonna knock you out, and then they bet something like that. But I haven't personally seen it. Next question, James Gordon. Ego, did you see the Tecate commercial with Stallone? Nothing is over, just give me something to drink. And Canelo, don't you think it's kind of corny? Who the hell gives Canelo a black eye besides Floyd? Another thing I haven't seen. I've seen them doing behind the scenes, filming it. I haven't watched it, but I'll probably do some research to check it out. I haven't. I'm trying to be up on everything, but I haven't seen some of these specials and commercials and stuff. Next question, Southside Boxing. I'm from the South Side, 601. What's good, Ego? AJ and Vladimir just had a Fight of the Year candidate fight, definitely. Both guys fought well and showed heart, definitely. But did you see anything in the fight from AJ that maybe Joseph Parker or Deontay Wilder could expose or take advantage of? Yeah, I mean, I can't really say Joseph Parker because I haven't seen enough of him. Like, because he barely won, you know what I mean? He won the Andy Ruiz fight split decision. So he's a new champion. I don't know. He's going to be shorter than Joshua. I know he has power, pretty thudding shots and stuff like that. But he's kind of the rookie of the heavyweights in terms of, I don't know his full potential because he's the newest. He's the newest link. Deontay Wilder certainly, and I kind of said that earlier in this video, is you can't be on the ropes, languishing on the ropes and getting tired versus Wilder, because Wilder showed you he could go at 12 rounds. People say Wilder ain't fought nobody, but at the same time, Wilder, the only guy he hasn't knocked out, you know what I mean? Him and Joshua both have knocked out nearly all of their opponents. You know what I mean? Joshua has knocked out all of his opponents, and Wilder knocked out everyone except for Thurman. And coincidentally, that was the fight where he showed the most maturity and he went 12 rounds with, and that's the best name on his resume. So to me, Wilder showed time and time again that he can go 12 rounds. He's athletic enough, and that's not a problem. I never really seen him have to wait 4 rounds to get his second win. He just seems like he has that extra energy. I mean, even the Johan Duhaupas fight, if I'm not mistaken, you guys can fact check me, but I want to say it was a late stoppage. I want to say like in the 11th round. So to me, that was spelled trouble for Joshua if he was in the same predicament. Now, obviously, Klitschko got Joshua in the predicament, so we don't know. We don't know if Wilder would be able to duplicate that, but I'm just saying, if he was in the same situation, I see Joshua being in trouble. You know what I mean? Because Wilder's a good finisher, and I haven't seen these stamina issues. So yeah, that's what I take away that Wilder could possibly expose. Next question, Santos Aranda. Should Bronze Bomber fear Anthony Joshua? No, you shouldn't be in the sport of boxing if you fear anybody in your division like that. So I don't think you should fear him. I mean, I think it's a good fight, 50-50 fight or whatever. Santos Aranda has another question. Do you think Klitschko losing Emmanuel Stewart has really affected his boxing? Rip Manny and rip Dr. Steelhammer's career. Nah, I mean, I don't think it's rip Steelhammer's career and all that. Losing a mentor is obviously not a good thing, but Klitschko boxed his ass off. Like, he was doing good. He just got caught by the youthful, powerful lion, and they traded knockdowns. So I don't think that's going out on a sour note. I mean, you gave a guy who's like 13 years younger than you or whatever, you gave him the fight of his life and made him look more vulnerable than we've seen him previously. You actually knocked him down, the first to do that at age 41. So I don't look at it like how your comment seems. So your comment seems like it's like he fell off since Emmanuel Stewart. I don't really see that. Next question, Set for Life 19th. Ego, which fighter you think has the top 3 best uppercuts in the game? I got AJ, Thurman, and Canelo. Yeah, those would probably be my picks off the top of my head. AJ's, he whiplashed Klitschko's head, something vicious. That was disgusting. I mean, if we're talking about former fighters, obviously Mike Tyson. There's a ton of fighters. I would also put Jamal Charlo on that list, and even Kell Brook probably, because I like Kell Brook. His uppercuts versus Golovkin. He lifted Golovkin off the ground, I think, with the uppercut. And Errol Spence definitely needs to watch out for that. So yeah, in addition to AJ, Keith Thurman, Canelo, all great uppercut artists, I would say Jamal Charlo and Kell Brook also, off the top of my head. Oh, Chris Eubank Jr. too. He has nice uppercuts too. Next question, Michael Jackson. Who do you have as the best heavyweight champ right now, and what would be the biggest heavyweight matchup? I really don't know. I would probably say Deontay Wilder, but to me, Luis King Kong Ortiz is super dangerous. He's going to give you less money. He could outbox you. He can knock you out. So he's the wild card. I think he could beat Wilder possibly and beat Joshua possibly. So I really have to just see him scrap. Round robin, Super 6 style, and see who's the best. Joshua's up there. Wilder's up there. Joseph Parker seems pretty solid, but he's newer in his career, so we don't really know. Tyson Fury can box. So I don't really know. That's why I want to see them all fight. And to me, the best heavyweight matchup, the biggest is Joshua Wilder. 2 different demographics. It would be kind of like this generation's Lennox Lewis versus Mike Tyson, a guy from the UK and a guy from America. And the guy from America is more bravado and charisma. stuff like that. So that's big. But I also think Tyson Fury versus Joshua would be big. Tyson Fury knows how to sell the fight. Next question, Squiddy Tentacles. Hey Ego, I love what you're doing with your channel. Thank you. Just wanted to get your thoughts on a great heavyweight fight. All eyes were on this fight, and it did not disappoint. Not at all. Ego, Anthony was in huge trouble in this fight. Do you think he is the real deal after digging deep? Thanks, Ego. Yeah, he's certainly the real deal. Like I said, I don't have nothing bad to say about Joshua or Klitschko. I mean, I've seen little deficiencies, little flaws, but I mean, like Carl Froch said, Joshua can certainly improve and work on it, and fighters need these types of fights. You know what I mean? Floyd Mayweather had a tough fight with Castillo, and he seems to have learned from that type of performance. So, you know what I mean? Fighters, they have to go through these tough fights to get better. So, yeah, digging deep, that to me, that shows more, because when the going got tough, he didn't just bail out, which he easily could have done. He could have stayed on the ground and be like, in front of 90,000 people and disappointed them. So that shows me more. The flaws and like deficiencies, the stamina issues, stuff like that I've seen, a lot of that could be worked on. Coming to the weigh-in lighter, change instead of maybe heavy lifting, cut that out and do some more cardio stuff. Those things you can't really switch your heart and give yourself heart if you're not built like that. So Joshua is the real deal to me. Another question from Coda Kid. I'm just putting this out there. After that tough fight for Joshua, I honestly think King Kong Ortiz will be a difficult fight for him. Just said that. Yes, he is. King Kong's a difficult fight for anybody. He's knocked out guys his size, knocked out guys bigger, and I'm telling you, he's a monster the way he got on his toes versus Brian Jennings. And movement seems to give Joshua some issue, right? Some issue. Joshua was doing pretty good, cutting off the ring. He was jabbing and stuff, but there were spots where he was getting out jabbed. So King Kong has that Cuban background. He's a threat. Threat level is very high to anybody. Next question, Adrian Chavezjr. Joshua versus Wilder, who has the upper hand? I'm going with Wilder at the moment because he's more developed. He's had more of these big fight opportunities. Even though people clowns that he ain't fought no one, it's still experience. Because Bermane Stavern, they're both been to the Olympics, but you got to look at it. Wilder went to the Olympics with he was playing basketball or whatever, and he went to the Olympics late edition, and he still made it this far as a champion who's knocked out everyone except for Stavern. So he's raw with the talent, athleticism, and like I said, the holes that I seen with Joshua versus Klitschko, that wouldn't be good for Wilder. So I would give Wilder an upper hand in that particular fight, and I kind of talked about it through this video. And next question, the Notorious T. Yo, Ego, you think it's possible for Canelo to overtrain? And what type of electronics do you need to be able to have a good boxing channel like yours? As in your graphics look sharp and your voice doesn't sound hollow or static. Thank you for what you do for the sport, Ego. And believe it or not, it's not really even just about the electronics. A lot of people get like sidetracked, like, I gotta get the best this and this. You have to really build your YouTube channel to the point where you can even justify buying nice stuff. But you know what I mean? Amazon has a lot of good deals where you can, and that's usually what I do. I just go on Amazon, read some of the ratings and see what my setup is and stuff like that. And it's not really about that to me though. I think it's really about the passion, the putting the work in and things like that. You got to make people want to even come to your videos. Otherwise, none of that stuff even matters. You have the nicest microphone, or I have an iMac computer, you know what I mean? But it doesn't matter. I could do the same job from a computer from a yard sale, you know what I mean? So that's that. Anyone can overtrain. So yeah, it's possible Canelo can overtrain, especially when there's so much on the line. You guys are betting who's going to get knocked out, who's not. It's for Mexican bragging rights, who's the best fighter from Mexico. So overtraining could be both Chavez or Canelo. Either one of them can deal with that. Next question, Boxingego Al 100. Hey Ego, been with you since 15,000 subs. Great channel. Thank you. My question is, if Born Ready versus Fantastico ends in a controversial fashion, like Triple G versus Jacobs, do you think Canelo moves on to Triple G, or does he rematch Fantastico? LOL. That's a good question. It depends on how rough the fight is and what happens. But if it's super rough, Yeah, I don't know. It could go either way. He just might want to just like, oh, whew, made it out of that fight. That was tough. And he might just elect to fight Gennady Golovkin and get that money while it's still there, while it's still somewhat ripe. But maybe he wants to rematch to clear the air. Like, okay, you know what I mean? Like Ward versus Kovalev. He's like, oh, y'all saying this is close. I'm gonna clear the air. So that's really a coin toss to me. It could go either way. But I think ultimately it depends on how rough it is and what he felt in there. But like some guys, to be honest, like it doesn't look like Triple G even wants to rematch Jacobs. And the reason being is because he has the potential to possibly beat you and play spoiler. So some guys just like, oh, I got that out of the way and they gave me the win. Man, I'm done. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to rematch him anytime soon. You know what I mean? Hurt my stock. So that's a coin toss to me. Next question is from Duran Heron. After studying 6 of Anthony Joshua's most recent fights, my assessment is that his defensive boxing ability is extraordinary for a heavyweight. What heavyweight do you think has impeccable defense and boxing ability? And do you agree with my assessment of AJ? I partially agree. I mean, I think Anthony Joshua can box. He's a good boxer, Olympic. He said it himself. He says, I'm not perfect, but what I'm good at, I try to build from, things of that sort. I don't think his defense is impeccable. It's not like Lomachenko. It's not like Mayweather or Rigondeaux. But for a big guy and a heavyweight, you know what I mean, it's not bad. But he makes certain mistakes. Like he got caught with the Klitschko right cross. He was getting hit. It's a heavyweight fight, so you expect it. But I think Anthony Joshua is a definite talent. He has certain things that stand out that I see he needs to kind of work on, like his stamina being one of them, punching yourself out, just young mistakes is just being a powerhouse. You can't count a person like Klitschko out, or if he fights Wilder or Tyson Fury. Them guys are the best available people in the current heavyweight division. So just because you give them hurt, you have to still put it together. So I don't know if that answers your question, but I like Joshua. He just needs to build from and learn from his toughest fight to date, the Klitschko fight. Next question, Victor Vasquez. What do you think of Canelo Chavez Jr. Faceoff? As I mentioned, I haven't seen it personally. I will watch it this week to amp me up for the fight. I wish HBO well, I guess it makes sense. I was going to say I wish they came out with it a little bit sooner, but I guess they want it fresh in your mind, the fight week, and it's fight week now, so. Next question, Gerardo Lopez. Hey, Ego, can you make a video of you just doing all your impersonations? That would be epic. I would set it as my ringtone. That's funny. Timing is everything. I'm trying to do everything I can, and it's just a matter of time. I don't know when I'll get a chance to just sit there and clown around like that, but people have asked me for that for years, so maybe that's what y'all want. Next question, Behita. Does Ward stop Kovalev in the rematch or simply win on points? I would say points victory would probably be more likely, just a cleaner one. But I really think Ward could possibly stop Kovalev. You know what I mean? But I would, if I'm as a betting man, I would say another decision, because Kovalev is tough, he's durable. I'm not trying to chump him, but a lot of people say, oh, pillow-fisted Ward and stuff like that. I mean, listen, if you have a grown man hitting you and you're fatiguing, like Kovalev was clearly fatiguing in the second half, you could get stopped. If someone's abusing your body like Ward was in the first fight, you can get stopped. So there's different ways to stop people. I mean, look at Tim Bradley. Bradley knocked out Brandon Rios, who we know is durable, right? Is anyone going to say Bradley per capita, per division, is significantly less tough than Kovalev, right? I seen Jean-Pascal hurt Kovalev. He's still a man. You know what I mean? Brandon Rios is as tough as they come. I'm not talking about who's the better boxer. Kovalev clearly has more boxing ability, like overall skill, than Brandon Rios. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about pure grit and toughness. And we've seen Brandon Rios in there with Diego Chavez, in there with Manny Pacquiao, in there with Alvarez, and nobody stopped him until Tim Bradley. So I don't think anyone's above being stopped, and especially if someone's tattooing your body, because Maidana said in the first Floyd fight his punches tickled, but in that second fight when Floyd was going to that body, to them guts, it looked like he had to think twice. in them later rounds. He looked like he was getting kind of gassed a bit. But I would say, as a betting man, I would say Ward decision over the stoppage. But I wouldn't rule a stoppage out of question. To me, him stopping Chad Dawson was more shocking than if he were to rematch a guy and stop a guy like Kovalev, to be honest, especially to the body. Because like I said, some things when you get hurt to the body, you can't recover. But we'll see. Maybe Kovalev comes out vicious and knocks out Ward. We'll have to find out in June. Next question, Gregory Incarnation. What up, Ego? Adrian Broner is looking for a potential fight in the summer. Who do you think he should fight next? And what is the fight you think needs to happen in any weight class? Fight that I want to see that needs to happen to me is Canelo Triple G. That goes without saying. It's just, they've been talking about the fight. People were hyped for the fight. So if Canelo, it's fight week right now. If he gets past Chavez Jr., that's the fight that needs to happen. Another one I really want to see is Deontay Wilder versus Anthony Joshua. But there's tons of fights. I mean, different severities. I would love Keith Thurman versus the winner of Kell Brook versus Errol Spence Jr. That's a great fight. I want to see some top-notch fights between the guys. The Lee Selby, Gary Russell Jr., Oscar Valdez, Leo Santa Cruz, Carl Frampton, Scott Quick. Like, mix and match all them dudes. And I want to see those fights, like Gary Russell versus Leo Santa Cruz. I would really love that fight. They fought as amateurs, stuff like that. So I could think of tons of fights in each division. Lomachenko, Mikey Garcia, I really would be down for that. And Broner, I don't know who we could fight because I don't even know what weight he's going to do. But realistically speaking, maybe a Granados rematch. Granados got passed up and they picked the guy that beat him to fight Terence Crawford, Felix Diaz, but he was in the running for the Crawford fight. So maybe a Granados rematch. I was at the first fight. The first fight had enough excitement. Broner said he claimed hand injury, so let's see how he would do in a rematch. Robert Guerrero. I like Broner versus Amir Khan. I would even deal with Brandon Rios or Victor Ortiz versus Adrian Broner, to be honest. Those are the fights that come to mind off the top of my head. Amir Khan, Brandon Rios, stuff like that. Maybe even the David Peralta, because he beat Robert Guerrero and I haven't really heard from him since. I'd rather see Broner versus Kamagai than Cotto, but that's just my opinion. Next question is Gustavo Moreno. What up, Boxingego? What is your pound for pound top 5 so far this year? Good work. Keep up the badass content. Appreciate that. And I told you guys, I don't do pound for pound lists. It's all subjective. It would be constantly changing. I don't know. I don't do a pound for pound list. But there's fighters that I really like. I think have potential. Terence Crawford, Vasyl Lomachenko. I think Errol Spence Jr. Once he gets past Kell Brook, if he gets past Kell Brook, he's up there like in terms of skill. And there's a lot of fighters, but I don't just sit down and laundry list all the fighters who I think are pound for pound, right? Andre Ward, Guillermo Rigondeaux. There's a ton of talented fighters, so it's kind of hard. Different weight classes. Certain people have been in the game longer, since the 90s, like Pacquiao, so it's kind of hard to place them. You have situations like Kovalev. I had Ward winning, but some people had Kovalev winning. He's still a great fighter, so it's like, where would you put him? You know what I mean? Because if you don't, you know what I mean? It's just too subjective. Some people would put Kovalev above Ward if they didn't think that Ward beat him. I thought Ward beat him, so, you know what I mean? That's just me. So it's just too radically changing. I just don't waste my time with it. I just know who's a good fighter, and I try to speak to the people, the Lomachenkos, the Crawfords, the Wards, and all the great fighters, and try to give them the fair share and exposure that I can. Next question, Tara Miller. What up, Boxingego? What up? Do you believe that Lada is intentionally avoiding Andrade, and who do you think would win the fight if the fight is made? Me personally think Andrade win by unanimous decision. To me, that's a toss-up fight. I think Demetrius Andrade is clearly one of the best at 154. He didn't impress as much as people expected him to versus Jack Kukale. I don't know if it had something to do with jet lag, maybe overtrain. I don't know. But Lada is no joke either. But I think Andrade has a more judge-pleasing pro style, where if he's looking like he did versus Willie Nelson, where he's offensive, and Lada's retreating like he did with Canelo, then I think that Andrade will win on points. And as far as is Lada avoiding, I don't know. There's two sides to every story. Team Lada, from last time I checked, they basically made it sound like they offered Andrade a fight and he wanted too much money, but Andrade came back and said we never even got to the money part because they shut it down. So I'm not gonna play sides when I don't know the situation. I wasn't negotiating with them, so I don't know what happened. I don't know who's ducking who. I just know I want to see it. Next question, Cranes 8. What's good, Ego? What up? Give me your final thought on Anthony Joshua versus Vladimir Klitschko. Who's gonna win? And in case you missed it, I did do a prediction video, my 7 reasons video. There's people that do like 7 reasons and 3 reasons, 5 reasons. Y'all know where it comes from, and y'all know who has the original 7 reasons and that kind of thing. So I already did it. I picked Joshua. I was accurate. I said late stoppage. That's what it was. So I'm back on my winning streak. But it was a great fight, great for the heavyweight division and great for boxing. Next question, Joseph Reyes. Ego, keep up the great content. You're doing great. Thank you. Can you name your top 5 southpaw fighters? Another hard question. Got to put Manny Pacquiao on the list. I would say Guillermo Rigondeaux on the list. I would put Vasyl Lomachenko on the list. I would put Errol Spence on the list. That's 4. Lada, that's 5. But I also put... there's a lot of people. I also think Adonis Stevenson should kind of be up there. He's a great southpaw fighter. And who else is there? Yeah, I've already named 5, but I think Gary Russell Jr. might be a southpaw too. So those are some certain ones. Oh, Luis King Kong Ortiz. So that's 8. I named 8 for you. Next question. Greg Saunders, do you think that Fury will ever return? Certainly. I mean, he's already trying to lose the weight now. He's talking to a gang of trash, so I think he'll be back. It's just a matter of when, not if. I think he will come back, though. I think he's motivated. He wants to prove it to himself. And he said, do you think I care what y'all think and the haters are talking about? No. I'm training. I'm losing weight. I'm doing this for me. So I think he'll be back. I think he's kind of got it. Some people have to reach that point. They reach that point when they're like, nah, enough is enough. And I think he's kind of at that point when he wants to come back, and everybody's making money except for him. And 90,000 in Wembley, and he's sitting up here on the sideline. So I think he wants to come back now. Next question, the Night Twin 34. Do you think that Klitschko won the mind game battle for the fight? Did he mentally beat AJ? And me, I'm a realistic person. I think Klitschko put a valiant effort, a decent, good game plan together. He was in shape. But I can't really say he won the mind game battle when he got knocked out and he got hit with that uppercut. So I'm gonna say no, he didn't mentally beat AJ, because if he mentally beat AJ, I think he would have won. Like it doesn't really make sense to me. How do you win the battle of psychological warfare if it doesn't work and you still get stopped? So I'm gonna say no. I think Klitschko, him saying he was obsessed, he was on point. He just somebody a little bit fresher, younger, and had his number. Next question, Jay Del Rio. Hey, Ego, amazing job you're doing. Thank you. Keep up the great work. Now, my questions are: 1, after the Joshua Klitschko fight, can you name a better year of boxing? Absolutely not. Not in recent memory. And I don't even want to go through history. I can't remember another year exactly like this. Number 2, if we can compare hip-hop artists to fighters, for example, if Floyd is compared to Jay-Z, who will you compare Canelo to? Oh, y'all getting good with the questions. That's Canelo. Oh, if I'm comparing, who would Canelo be? A Kanye, Eminem, maybe. I think Canelo's he's sick. Canelo's sick, and he's creative with his punches. So I would say like, yeah, Eminem or Kanye-ish type of person if I'm comparing them to hip hop. Wow, someone said Canelo's Bruno Mars. That's doing too much. But yeah, man, 2017 has been a phenomenal year in boxing, and I'm looking forward to it. But I really like Canelo. I think he's very skilled. And that was the final question. Wow, Klitschko got rocked. Try to get to a lot of questions. I'll be back next week. Definitely got to do Monday Mail Day after Canelo. I was born ready. versus Chavez Jr. Another big fight week. Definite job security. I'm looking forward to it. Check the channel, subscribe. I'm going to have content all week. It's fight week. You know how it goes. I got to watch Faceoff still, but we working. Let me know what you guys think of this week's MMD Monday Mail Day. I'll be back next week after we get an outcome. Fantastico versus Born Ready, May 6th. Let me know what you guys think. Drop it in the comment section. Make sure you share the video, like the video. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video, is Ego signing off.